So hello everyone, I am Johnny Steenbergen. I'm going to be your tour guide on today's ride with Zero to Awesome Infrastructure with InfluxDB Templates. And if you have any questions, concerns, or random memes you want to share, hit me up on Influx Community Slack. You can find me at Berg. So let's jump right into it. So I want to talk about the things we'll be learning today. The first thing we're going to do is jump into a TLDR, too long don't read. We're just going to be building a common vocabulary we're going to use to answer the next three questions, which are what problems can templates solve? What are these InfluxDB templates anyways, and how do we manage InfluxDB templates? So let's jump into this TLDR. On the right here, we have a real template that you can actually use and install it in your platform. And it works with InfluxDB Cloud 2 or the open source distribution of InfluxDB version 2 as well. Both of them should be able to take the templates at this point. So as you see here, if this looks familiar, that's probably because it is. It's just a simple YAML file. I think most people looking at this can understand. I have an API version here. I have a kind, and that kind describes a label. Cool. So it's pretty self-evident for the most part. And if you're coming from the Kubernetes environment, you're probably used to seeing these in custom resource definitions. Well, surprise, they actually are custom resource definitions in hiding. So they're also compliant with that as well. So these could be a file or a JSON post body or whatever you want to do to get it to us. It's BYOT, bring your own template. We can pretty much take it in any shape that you can make it. And it supports JSON, YAML, or JSON at this time. And basically what that template is just a desired state. This is what, when I tell the platform I want this, it makes this, and it just makes it happen. And to do that, we have this idea of a stack, and this is what manages the lifecycle of templates. And you can kind of think of stacks as this means to map this stateless world of templates. The templates know nothing about the platform and never will, but our stacks absolutely do, and they're able to kind of transform these templates into real resources within the platform. And when you go to apply template, you can actually apply multiple templates at once. You can apply a single template or whatever mix and match you want to bring. And you can think of the application of templates as the stack itself, as the atomic unit of execution. So if you're going to apply a template and something unforeseen happens, instead of managing all those different code paths, the stacks will do that for you. So if there's an issue, it'll roll back everything to the state of the world that existed before the attempted application of a template. And then we have community templates, and this is something I promise we will get back to, but we're going to skip it for the time being until we have a little more time to dedicate to it. So let's jump right into this first question. What can templates do for you? So I think the best way to illustrate what templates can do for you is just to show an example of what the world looks like without templates. So I have a video here, and this is me building some dashboards for an application that's using InfluxDB as the application store. So what this application does is takes all this different crypto exchange data, it's all the ticker values for all these different exchanges out there, creates a cohesive data model out of it, and dumps that data model into InfluxDB. And now I can look at all these different exchanges and compare them inside InfluxDB or whatever consumer I want to put downstream from that. And then everyone speaks the same jargon. There's no managing of Gemini versus Coinbase versus Binance and all these others. It's just one cohesive model here. So right here, I'm just going to do the open and close, high lows, and so forth. And one thing that's not completely obvious here is that it took me many tries. I rehearsed this 3 times before I can get it down to look this smooth. And even this took me close to 10 minutes or so to actually set up, which isn't that long, but it's a lot longer than I would have liked to actually spend. If I could have avoided that 10 minutes, I would have avoided that 10 minutes all day. So the next thing I want to do here, after I've done my dashboard, is to create the variables. And these variables allow me to make my dashboards parameterized. So I can actually see those drop downs and stuff like that, like we'll see here in a second, where my dashboards and stuff like that can be more or less parameterized with different symbols from the exchanges, be it Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash or whatever. I can go there and actually use these in my dashboards. So I come in here, I added my VDOT measurements. So this is going to be another one where I'm going to do the exact same thing. And then right here, we can see the measurements up here is that parameterized variable. So I can choose Bitcoin, I can choose all these different things, and it'll actually, down below, it'll reflect into the actual data that's being shown. So again, I'll do the same thing with currencies. And I'll do all that for all these different charts. And then I'll touch it up and I'll make my final view, add my little description, all this kind of stuff. And then I'll massage it a little bit more, and then I'm pretty much done. So that's what a single dashboard took me without templates. About 10 minutes, best case scenario, 10 minutes. That's after rehearsing it 3 times. So I want to show what a world with templates actually looks like. It looks like this. It takes about the blink of an eye. I do influx apply and I provide the template file, and then it's done. Like everything that I had just created, and then a lot more as well, potentially, can be created in a single CLI command. And so with that, I want to transition straight into the demo. So right here, I have a brand new, just set up version or instance of the open source distribution of InfluxDB version 2. I have no dashboards, no task, no variables, labels, no buckets, nothing. It's a clean slate. And what I want to do, I want to be able to run this binary and dump all my data into Influx here. And to do that, I'm going to need a specific bucket here called candles. Well, that's simple enough. I have this template, so I want to use it. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually initialize a stack. So I like the stack named candle stack. It's got a certain ring to it. I'm going to take this ID. I'm going to export it as my stack ID because I'm going to get to use this quite a bit. That's cool. I'm going to clear that up. Then I'm going to do influx apply -f, and then we're going to provide our stack ID as well. And I'm going to have this template right here called candle template.yaml. And what that looks like is just this here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different resources here. I have a label, I have a bucket, a couple variables like you just saw, and the dashboard. And these last 3 were from that video. I yanked them straight out of there, actually. Cool. So I want to go on and apply this. So I press enter. And what I'm seeing here, if I scroll to the top, this is a dry run of the actual application of this template. And what this allows you to do is kind of pump the brakes. If something in here doesn't line up with expectations, you have the ability to parachute out. Nothing has changed at this point. This is just a prediction of what will happen when you go to apply this template. So it's showing me that I have, according to this legend, the plus is an add and it's green. And I apologize to anybody who's colorblind out there like myself, because you can probably only see that it's a different color. So we have the plus here, and that means it's going to be added. And we have the recent candle. Like all this stuff is looking like I expected. It's straight from the template. I have a new bucket called candles. I have my new dashboard, a couple variables here, and then some label associations. I want to be able to collect these underneath some common label or tag, as you might say. So I go on and says apply. I'm going to come back over to the platform. I'm going to refresh the page. And then I see that I have a recent dashboard here now. That's cool. I never created that myself. And my bucket is there. So that's perfect. I need that to bootstrap my binary here. So now that I have that, I can start to write a bunch of metrics out to Influx. Sweet. I have no task still because I didn't install any. I have 2 variables, 1 label, and my dashboard. If I open that up, I'm going to see a bunch of data here. And like I said, we had no data beforehand. Now we're already seeing data and getting data. And I can start to parameterize this. I can see US dollars. I can see Bitcoin itself. And that is an absolutely ridiculous number. Cool. Now, that's awesome, but that's just the beginning. So maybe I want to add some downsampling tasks. So I have some downsampling tasks here. And basically what these do, there's going to be 5 of them. And they're going to downsample that 1-minute data into like 5-minute data, 15-minute data, and so forth. I'm just going to downsample that data. Now, if you're using, if you want to use this to make decisions, I don't recommend it. Get that from your exchange. That they're doing a very good job of doing this for you, so you can get it straight from them. But it makes for a good demo. So I'm going to go and do influx apply again. So what I'm going to see here is I have nothing new except tasks. Labels are the same, buckets are the same, dashboards are the same, and I have 5 new tasks here. Very cool. And then the 5 new label associations with those tasks. I'm going to confirm that because that's exactly what I wanted. So if I come into tasks now, I should see 5 tasks. Bam, they're there. Beautiful. Now, like all things, there's going to be a time where I go to this, someone extends the template, and it turns out what was extended isn't exactly what we want. So if I look at this one, I have an additional dashboard, which is fine for the time being. I go in and I pull up my dashboards and I have, one of these is wrong, and I don't know which. So again, we can look back at our template. It should define the state of the world. If I look here, I have a dashboard, and then I also have another dashboard up here. Oh, okay. I want to get rid of this one. And you know what? I just want to go back to the state of the world before that actually happened. I'm going to go back a commit or a branch in this circumstance, and I'm going to reapply that. And what this actually does is it again, the state of the world is made to reflect what's actually in the template. That template in that last commit did not have this extra dashboard. So that extra dashboard should be removed now, as you're seeing here. And I press continue, I confirm that, and I come back to my dashboards here, I reload that page, and I just see that I only have one dashboard now. Very cool. Awesome. So another way of looking at templates really is they're just a start. So maybe I use this template from the community and I'm happy with almost everything, but I don't like the look and feel of these vertical columns. I'm fairly comfortable with long-bodied row or wide-bodied rows. Maybe that's because I'm a short, pudgy guy. No problem. Let's go ahead and line this up. And I like that much better. That's cool. Awesome. I like that much better. And I want to actually give this a description, some description. Use your imagination. And then also this label. I don't like this yellow. This yellow bothers me. I want to make it that influxy purple. Neat. So if any of you have worked with kubectl and Kubernetes environment in general, you basically start from the YAML and go downstream. You never come back up. You're not going to SSH into a box, change settings, and export that to your YAML. It just doesn't work. Well, it shouldn't work. That's just a bad idea. But in InfluxDB, we have a different world. Our world is necessarily mutable. So what we can do is go in and edit the actual stuff inside of the platform, and then I can export that. Then if I look at a git diff on this, I can see that the only things that have changed was my label, cool, and then the height and width of my different columns here, or my different charts, those have changed as well. And that's exactly what I wanted to see. This is a very casual commit. Like there's not a whole lot going on here, which is awesome. When it comes to configuration, less is more. So this last one here is basically a situation where this template no longer adds value. This template is something I want to just remove. I don't want to have any remnants of it left over. And that's simple enough. So we have this remove command. I can remove that stack. That the source was that candle template file, as you're seeing here. We have that candle template file, and it's going to remove all 10 resources. And that's all the different resources plus their label associations as well. I'm going to confirm that. Now, if I come back to the platform and refresh the page, I should see that my recent dashboard is gone, my bucket is gone, my dashboard is gone, my tasks are gone, and so forth. So now we're back at that state of the world where we started, actually. So now I can go back and do it all over again if I want. And that is the demo. Whoops. My bad. So let's go back to the actual slides. So what can templates do for you? Reduce that setup time with just a single command. You can run influx apply and provide the template or templates, and it'll just make that state of the world a thing. And if you've done all this awesome work already and you want to actually secure those things and make them portable, maybe you want to share it with another instance of your open source InfluxDB version 2, or maybe you want to send your open source stuff up to cloud. That's very simple. Just export the stack or export the resources either way, and you can provide those templates from existing resources within your platform. And my favorite part of all is it just simplifies sharing all the awesome work that everybody's doing. There's a lot of people who put in a lot of work to create really effective downsampling and a lot of different stuff around their storage. And it's awesome to be able to share those things with the world, but it's not always easy to share them with the world. Now it is. If I can just run this single command here, influx export all, and I'm filtering by a label name of storage, I can identify each resource within that label name and export it based on that. And now I have a collection of things that I can share with somebody, which is really fun. So now let's take a closer look at what InfluxDB templates actually are. So on the right again is our template that we saw earlier in the TLDR. And again, this should be pretty simple to kind of grok. I mean, we have a spec here that defines a bunch of the information for the bucket that it's nested under and so forth. And these can be a file, this can be, you know, whatever stream you want to provide to us. We can provide for any sort of input for the most part. Anything to be in YAML, JSON, or JSON like we discussed earlier. But something to take note of here is that metadata.name field needs to be unique. It needs to be a unique identifier for a resource within a template or an application of multiple templates that need to be unique within that grouping. So one other thing to notice is that this name also needs to be DNS 1123 compliant. That also falls in line with our CRD compliance within the Kubernetes environment. And as long as these are unique and CRD are in DNS 1123 compliant, everything's gravy. But the thing I like most of all about templates is that they provide a meaningful feedback loop. So all the dependencies that your resources depend on need to be provided via the template. So if you have an association like this last line here, if you have an association with a label and that label is not provided, it's a loose end. And we're going to ask you to, you know, clean up that loose end before you apply it. Either remove the association or provide the label so that we know exactly what we're actually looking for and exactly what we want to create for you. This allows us to remove any sort of ambiguity and allows the user to have that immediate feedback as well. So they, oh, I forgot, I mistyped. It wasn't label 2, it should have been label foo or something like that. And we can give that feedback in real time now. Cool. So that's the InfluxDB templates in a nutshell, more or less. They're very simple. If you want to see examples of this, we have them in our Influx community templates, which we'll talk about here soon. But the thing I want to talk about most of all is how the InfluxDB templates are managed. This is where I find it most interesting. So on the right here, we have this apartment building. And this apartment building you can think of as being your InfluxDB Cloud 2, or maybe it's your open source distribution of InfluxDB version 2. And we can think of stacks as more or less this lease or landlord of templates. So to show an example, we have this template comes in, it's got a dashboard, it's got a label, it's got a Telegraf config, and it's got a bucket. And they'd like to move into the platform. The platform asks them, let me check, see, you know, let me check the rooms, make sure there's availability, which just means like, what's your stack ID? And like, okay, you're ready to move into stack 1A. Since I didn't provide a stack, we're going to move them straight into stack 1A. Awesome. Now we have that same exact template, and they're going to be applying to the same exact stack. They're basically renewing their lease. And it's basically a no-op. We just continue on, nothing changes. So now there's a day, the dashboards are moving out. That's fine. We removed it from the template and we applied it, and the stack reconciles the state of the world so that the dashboard is no longer inside the apartment complex. They're no longer a part of the platform. Cool. But what about the day when we want to move back in? So we want to add that dashboard back to that to the platform. So let's look at an example where we come into the platform and they ask for our stack ID and we don't remember it. So he goes, okay, platform's okay, go ahead and move into stack 2A. I mean, that's perfectly fine. You're more than welcome to move in, but you live in a separate apartment from our stack 1A folks. And what the key thing to note here is that the lifecycle for stack 2A is completely independent of the stack of 1A. So if I do this example again, and I want to move in, I don't provide that stack ID, it's going to move me into 3A, and then 1B. Oh, I flipped those numbers. Or 2B and 3B. So that's a problem. We don't want a bunch of lingering dashboards that actually don't do anything except create new dashboards, and then we have a bunch of noise in the platform. Instead, we can look back at this initial example, and dashboard says, I want to move back in. Platform asks, what's your stack ID? And he says, stack 1A. Beautiful. Move in with your friends back to stack 1A. Simple as that. So now we're at the point where the tenants are, they want to move out. They want to cancel this lease. Basically, we want to remove these. We want to uninstall these template or templates that are associated with this stack. So it's simple enough. The stack comes in, you know, people move out, stack cleans up the place, and now the platform is at the exact same state as we started on this initial journey. So let's take a look back at our TLDR once more to hopefully allow this to sink in. So we have this template on the right again. It's just a file or a request body, it doesn't matter, that defines a desired state of the world that you want to see. And it's going to be in JSON, YAML, or JSON, as we discussed. And then we have stacks, and stacks are really the intelligence behind making templates a reality. And they're what manage the stateful world of the platform and reconciles that with the stateless world of the actual template, this declarative world of the template. And when you go to apply a template or templates, they can be multiple at the same time. Stacks are going to provide the same unit of execution for one template, or if you applied multiple templates together. And then those community templates I promised we'd come back to. Let's take a gander at those. So if you check out our InfluxData community templates repo, you're going to find a lot of interesting work from our community and our influxers alike. There's some really cool stuff there. You're seeing an example here from Nginx and MySQL monitoring template, but we have some very interesting stuff as far as like monitoring Counter-Strike, monitoring Redis. Like there's a bunch of different stuff in there. And I highly encourage everyone here, if you haven't checked out version 2 or InfluxDB Cloud 2, please do so and check out the community templates. See what they can do for you. And along the way, like, give us some feedback. I would love to hear the pains that you're going through when you're working with templates, so I can remove those pains and we can make that experience better for you and also better for the entire community at large. And that is the end of my talk, Chris.
I have a couple of questions. I know we have a set of best practices that Michael Hall and you have put in there. Maybe you can share them with the people that are on our are here today with our event, because I know we have some people that are experienced with creating dashboards either in Chronograph or Grafana. But what are some of those recommendations that you guys have in that best practices doc?
I can let Michael Hall speak to that one. He's more attuned to that. I don't remember all of them off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to.
Yeah, please.
Your audio
variables.
Your audio is going in and out a little bit.
That better?
Yep.
Okay. Using variables in your Telegraf configuration is one that makes it really easy to run a Telegraf config without having to modify it. Using your Telegraf config obviously is a bit different. You don't have to, but if you're using Telegraf,
is it just me, or is his audio? Can you guys hear?
It's fading in and out for me as well.
Yeah. What he's saying though is, if you're using Telegraf configurations, use the best practices from the Telegraf community as well. So use those environment variables to provide bucket names and so forth. All the dynamic stuff, provide those via environment variables. And then if you want to parameterize, it's like the hardest word in the world to say. If you want to parameterize your dashboards, use variables. And that's the meat and potatoes I think he was getting at, but there's probably more.
Best practices document is all of it, and we're continuing to grow it. We're kind of learning as we go also with that balance between flexibility and ease of installation. So we do have several tips in there. Good templates, they're not required. You can put in the community templates directory, following all of those. It's really just a guideline to try and make it the best as it can. I hope my audio is better.
I don't know why it just keeps going in and out, but I think Johnny said it best, right? Just take a look at the best practices doc that's in the community GitHub repo, and it's not 100% set in stone. It's just a bunch of recommendations that we have learned from our experiences, and we'll probably continue to add to that as we learn more or hear from you guys about some of the things that you think are good ideas for adding these templates. And as everyone's already mentioned a couple of times, there's a lot of very interesting templates. And for, I think a lot of people, the nice thing about starting with a template is not only is it quick, like you saw, how quickly Johnny was able to pull that in, but sometimes it's hard to imagine what a particular dashboard could be without fiddling around with it for a long period of time. So this just really gives you that nice jump start. I always find it so much easier to edit a dashboard than it is to start from the beginning, because I'm just and then I get too excited over all the little doohickeys and gadgets, and I end up spending like half a day just playing around with colors and stuff like that, when really I should just install it, make a couple changes, and then off we go. And then I think similar to the Telegraf plugins, building these dashboards, any one of us at InfluxData can do it. But the tricky part is we're all not subject matter experts in all different domains. And so what we look forward to, and what we've seen happen already with with Grafana dashboards or even with the Telegraf plugins is that your expertise can be easily brought into these kinds of things like the templates. And then it just helps the rest of the community as well. So, you know, just if you have an idea for a template, you can put it into the repo. Sam Dillard, who's actually in the Slack chat, is super keen to get a lot of different types of templates added to the repo. If you're unsure about creating the database or the dashboard, there's a lot of people here that would be more than happy to help. Maybe they don't have that subject matter expertise, but they are very familiar with InfluxDB. So there's a lot of ways that you can contribute. And in fact, a funny story about these templates, we actually asked one of our Influx aces, Jorge, to build a vSphere template. And what happened was our buddy Ignacio decided to, he saw that that note and he decided to pick it up himself. And so you end up having, you know, people contributing. So we have, you know, real world experience with that. Any questions? We're always happy to ask.
We have one from Solomon. Can templates be used as a way to manage deployment?
In what regard? It's a pretty open question.
So let me just unmute Solomon so we can get, might as well just have a.
So if you're shipping like an open source distribution of InfluxDB v2, and you want to just run a little script that stands up all the resources that it needs, you could definitely use it in that regard. It's not going to replace anything in your Terraform modules or anything like that. And all the Kubernetes integrations that we're exploring right now won't hit for some time, but that's something to keep an eye out for sure.
Solomon, if you want to expand on that, you can do that with your voice.
Yes, so basically it was answered as well on Slack, but for example, if I want to create a database, like a bucket and a few dashboards, it's just a way of deploying into on a customer site or to an environment. Can I use templates as a way to do it rather than scripting, create database or create a bucket?
Absolutely, absolutely. With version 2, like create database doesn't exist anymore. So like templates are a way to actually stand up and bootstrap a system very well. And I really like that use case for it. In the demo I showed, I started by bootstrapping the stack. And that's a really important distinction. So you can start with that stack and add your templates to it. And then you can apply that thing 100 times in a row and nothing should change actually. If nothing changes, the state of the world will just reflect whatever that template should say. So no matter what happens, you can always update it to the current state of the world that's reflected in that template as well, which is really awesome.
Excellent. Any other questions from any of the attendees?
It looks like we don't have any yet, but while we wait for final questions, we should kick off Johnny's swag giveaway.
Oh my goodness, how do I keep forgetting that today? I get too excited. All right, so let's do that. So what is Johnny's favorite brand of t-shirt? What was the first version of InfluxDB that Johnny experienced? And Johnny enjoys playing video games. What is his favorite Blizzard game of all time? Hint
on the shirt. I'm wearing it.
Maybe you got to turn around so we can see the tag, huh?
It's tagless, I assure you. And they come in 6-packs.
Very nice. So Johnny, you know, you've seen all the templates. What is the most surprising template? One that you didn't expect to come into the community repo?
I really dig the Counter-Strike one. And that was one that Ignacio took care of, and it's really cool. It's just having fun with data again. Yeah.
I mean, why not, right? Why not? You know, the whole point is to, you know, pull in data, learn from it. We actually have, you know, a lot of people will just monitor things around the house. So why not Counter-Strike?
Yeah, exactly. Why not?
And we even have a Minecraft Telegraf plugin that was built a few years ago, and that's quite popular. And then there's also even a, what's that thing called? Fireboard, that barbecue
Nice.
temperature gauge, right? So I'm just waiting for someone to build that as a template pretty soon.
That would be awesome. I'd be on that.
All right.
We have
so,
a lot of users where if they can pull data from something, they will. I've spoken to other community members who have pulled in video game stats, not because they necessarily want to, but because they can, they do it anyway.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. So why don't you answer your questions, Johnny? What's your favorite brand of t-shirt?
Either Hanes or Fruit of the Loom.
Ooh, all right. First version of InfluxDB?
1.7.
1.7. And favorite video game?
The Diablo 2 and or its expansion.
Ah, what about just Diablo?
That'll work.
All right. So let's just see. Let's see what Jesse says, who the winners are. We need a third winner, Jesse. So first winner, Jamie Milton. Second winner, Jan K. Third winner is Peter. Awesome. Fantastic. Well, if you have any questions for Johnny, he'll be hanging out in the speaker chat. Or as he's mentioned, you can always, talk to him directly in the Slack channel or reach out to him even in GitHub. He's always happy to help everybody get started with templates, and is always looking for much more feedback, a lot more ideas on how we can make that even better.
Yeah.
But I think it's impressive that you were able to do that just as the title suggested, right? From 0 to awesome in just such a short period of time.
Awesome. And don't forget, we have the #templates channel in the open source community, or the Influx community Slack as well. And there's a bunch of new stuff coming in there all the time.